Today's video is all about how to put a sight tape on your slider or driver style sight or target sight. Check it out. So first things first with sight tapes. You either are going to be looking to put on a pre-built like the laminated style that comes with the sight itself, or you can build a custom sight tape from a program if you've got that capability. Each of them has a little bit different details as far as the application process, but just know that water is the enemy when it comes to sight tapes, being rain, snow, what have you. So what our goal is here is just to protect the sight tape as best we can and waterproof it as best we can. So a couple things you'll need if you're going to be applying the sight tape from the custom-made tape that you printed off your program. First, you're going to be needing some double-sided tape, and I like to use packaging tape for this, to wrap the sight tape and then apply it to the sight itself. We're going to be putting a sight tape on this Defiant 34. This is a black gold verdict sight. And first things first, this sight is a 5-pin driver, so I'm going to be using my bottom pin as an indicator. In many cases, when I shoot personally a 5-pin slider, I'll cut off my sight tape from 55 yards down to just where I want to use it. I won't use anything from 20 to 55 because I'll have that preset in the pins. Some people like to use a full tape if they want to use their bottom pin as a target style sight for whatever type of shooting they're doing. I personally don't. Sometimes confuse myself, so I just like to use the tape for the driver pin itself. So first thing I'm going to do is just take off the indicator needle from the sight, and then I'm going to pick the right tape and get it cut out, and then I'm going to clip back to it so you can see, because this process could take a little while, so I'm just going to show you the important. So one thing I want to show you real quick here is if you cut your sight tape too wide and you put it on the bracket, on the plate that your sight allows, if it's too wide, you're not going to really have much area for the tape to bind down to basically hold it down to the sight tape, or the sight tape to the sight. So I like to cut mine as thin as I can. I'm still going to trim this down a little bit more. So far I've installed the two-sided tape, but now on to the next step of trimming this down. I actually trim it down to where I cut off all the extra and even shave part of the line off here on this sight. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of packaging tape and I'm going to fold it over the top and almost laminate this sight tape, keeping the continuous end of the tape over the top, so that way it doesn't allow water to get through that seam on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll get back to putting it on. So here what I've done is like I said, I've taken my little strip, my little sight tape, I've sandwiched it, folded over the top of the tape, and I'm going to trim around it. And I want to leave a little bit of tape so that way all on the two sides, to give it a little bit more water protection. And like I said, this, when I was sheep hunting last year and I did my sight this way, we dealt with 3+ afternoons worth of rain, and my tape didn't move, but the water did start to get into the seam, seeping into the tape itself, and some of the numbers started to bleed. So like I said, water is the enemy when it comes to sight tapes and hunting bows. But now that I've got that laminated, and I already have my two-sided tape stuck on the base here, the sight, I'm going to place this sight. I've got a reference mark where my indicator was, so I'm going to put this down and get this lined out where I want it to be, and then I'm going to go over the top of it again with another piece of tape. And again, that two-sided tape is basically there to hold that in place. I mean, that'll keep it in place pretty good just by itself. The tape itself is protected with the packaging tape, but then I'm going to go over the top again and fold over my tape onto this side and try to even overlap a little bit on the top to, again, keep it from moving, keep it really steady against the base, and give it a little bit more water protection. So I left the piece of tape pretty, it's a big piece of tape around there. So all I'm going to do now is trim around it with the razor. Like I said, I'm going to leave enough, probably about 1/8 of an inch to overlap on this specific site, and I'll trim it, leave it nice and clean so it doesn't get caught on anything and hung up. If you are going to use the laminated style, that the pre-packaged ones that come with the site, not always do they line up perfect with the speed that's estimated. I just lined up this tape that was from the site manufacturer with the tape that I printed from my program, and when I line it up from 20 to 100, the tapes are about 1.5 yards, 2 yards difference on this specific one. The manufacturers will tell you you need to put one on that this chronograph speed says, and then test it. The thing that I don't like about these pre-made ones is that they usually max out at 100 yards. I like to take my practice out to 110 to 120 if I can, if my setup permits, and building a custom sight tape allows for that. When I have used these in the past, just as a quick tape when I needed something, I'll still put, so I'll trim around. You don't need to put the two-sided tape because this has it's an adhesive on the back, but I'll trim this, stick it on my sight the same way, and then I'll still put the piece of tape and trim around it to give it a little extra protection. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Like I said, just remember, water is the enemy, and movement of your tape is also a no-no. So if you can get it to stick, the two-sided tape on the back helps. Laminating it and adding another layer of protection over the top will ensure that you have at least double-checked your setup. Like I said, in some situations where I've been in a heavy rain in a hunting situation, it still can get wet. So I'll take a little plastic bag and sometimes I'll just stick it over my sight when it's raining real bad, when we're just hanging out at camp, or if we're just sitting and waiting somewhere. So take care of your sight tape, keep it dry, and keep it from moving, and it'll ensure that you have success in the field. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these videos, make sure you subscribe and check out the next video that's coming out here in a few days.